You're listening to the Transform Your Life from the Inside Out podcast. This episode is titled, Will You Pay the Price for the Life of Your Dreams? Ponder that. Will you pay the price for the life of your dreams? You know, we all know this. We've heard it since we were kids. Nothing is free in life. And we can't have something for nothing. And I think we all know that. And you might think, well, there are some things that are free. When you listen, and after you listen to this episode, you will find that everything in life has a price. And the reality is, most of us will not pay the price. And I'll talk about why that is in this episode. So back to the headline. Will you pay the price for the life of your dreams? Now, you may say, yes, Jim, I will pay the price. And I assume that many people, and then it's an assumption listening to the podcast, will say, of course, Jim, I will pay the price for the life of my dreams. But let me ask you, do you currently have the life of your dreams? If you don't have the most amazing relationships, the money that you want, the health that you want, and the experience of life that you want, guess what? Even though you say you will pay the price, you won't pay the price. Because if you would pay the price, you would already have those things in your life. So if you'd like to learn more about paying the price to create the life of your dreams, keep listening. Hi, I'm Jim Fortin, and you're about to start transforming your life from the inside out with this podcast. I'm widely considered the leader in subconscious transformation, and I've coached super achievers all around the world for over 25 years. Here, you're going to find no rah-rah motivation and no hype, because this podcast is a combination of brain science, transformational psychology, and ancient wisdom all rolled into one to take your life to levels you've never thought possible. If you're wanting a lot more in life, to feel better, to heal, to have peace of mind, to feel powerful and alive, and to bring more abundance and prosperity into your life, then this podcast is for you, because you're going to start learning how to master your mind and evolve your consciousness. And when you do that, anything you want then becomes possible for you. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so paying the price. I want us in this episode to look at it in a different way, a way that you probably haven't looked at it before. And when you look at it this way, it'll make so much sense, and it will create a lot of clarity for you, and you'll immediately understand why you've not gotten what you want in life. The reason you haven't gotten what you think you want is plain and simple. What do you think? You guessed it. You won't pay the price. See, for every price that we have to pay, there is, and we actually call it a cost. Many times we say it's going to cost me X, Y, Z. And then we think, well, that's the same thing as paying the price. What's it going to cost me? Well, when you look at cost, what I say is price equals cost equals work. I didn't say hard work. I didn't say backbreaking work. I said work. Let me explain the definition of work, and we will actually turn this, as I'm going in that direction of more episodes, into a spiritual episode. Okay. In physics, work is the energy transferred to or from an object via the application of force along a displacement. And its simplest form, for a constant force aligned with the direction of motion, the work equals the product of the force, strength, and the distance traveled. Basically, what that means, that's the definition of work in physics. But what that means, and we've all heard this one, and I've even done episodes on it, what you put out is what you get back. So in the formal definition of physics, the work equals the product of the force, strength, and the distance traveled. Basically,
That's putting something out, the distance traveled and the strength. Something has to be put out for that. That is work. Now, in the human experience, work is plain and simple activity involving mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a purpose or a result. Again, it's something done to achieve a purpose or a result. But let's take a step back. Something done. I read many years ago the definition of work when I looked this up. The definition of work was the use of energy. And that's all the definition said, is the use of energy. So the way that I look at this, and again, as I go through this, when I finally figured this out, it dramatically changed my life. And hopefully it'll do the same thing for you. So we talk about price, all right? Will you pay the price for what you want? Price equals an exchange of energy. Ponder that. Price equals an exchange of energy. Everything in life has a price. Now let's go through that. Your friends, they cost you. Think about that. There's a price to friendship. There is a price for staying up all night long with a friend that's crying. There is a price for visiting a friend in the hospital. There is a price for anything and everything related to friends. And the way that I'm using price is relative to energy. Meaning, if you go over and see your friends, you got to get your butt up off the couch. Maybe you got to get in the car. Maybe you got to hop on the subway. Maybe you got to walk your feet to the subway station. Maybe you got to fly somewhere. But notice, you are expending energy. That is a price. You're expending energy to go see a friend and visit a friend. And when we think of our friends, we never think in terms of what is the cost? What is the price of this friendship? Generally, we only think of a price if the relationship is costing us in terms of emotional peace of mind, or the person keeps asking to borrow money and never paying you back, whatever it might be. Many times we think of price in terms of negativity and not in terms of the contribution of energy to the relationship. And that is the price. Remember, price equals an exchange of energy. So, what about spirituality? And you may say, well, Jim, that doesn't cost me anything. I mean, spirit is just the universe. It's consciousness. I think as you're listening to this podcast, and I dig into it more in just a bit, you'll find there is a price to be paid for your spiritual evolution and your spiritual growth. There is work involved, and work actually is you doing the work. Work is you paying the price. You can even say, well, religion is free. No, it's not. Think back to what I said about friends. And if you go to church, you've got to travel to church. You've got to put gas in your car. You've got to put your Sunday clothes on. And a price that most of us never think about, but we all recognize as kids. I didn't grow up in a big church family, but we went to church as a kid, and I went to vacation Bible school and all that kind of stuff, things that I do not do this day and age and would not take my kids to if I had kids. But a price also, we're all going to recognize this one. A price you pay to go to church sometimes is sitting in a hot, stuffy church, listening to a preacher go on and on and on. And if you were anything like me in high school, late high school, I didn't drink till I was a senior in high school. You might have been sitting in church hungover. And what's that price? As I do these episodes, I really don't have any notes. I'll jot down some bullet points, but no notes. And I think back to my senior year in high school, my buddy Lamar and I, we went out drinking one night and got pretty wasted. And we lived in the country, so we drove safely and on the back country roads and all that. I mean, we weren't driving in town or around people or anything like that. And the next morning, I stayed at his house that night. Next morning, 8 a.m., his mom beats on his bedroom door and goes, "Get up, boys. Time to go to church today." And we're both like, crap, time to go to church. So you don't think there's a price we had to pay to go to church that day? And the price we were paying was to cover our tracks, not for his mother to recognize we were hungover as hell. And back then we probably only had 4 beers, but there's a price to be paid. So, in religion, you've got to put money in the collection plate. You've got to do what I just said. You've got to be on your best behavior. You've got to go. And there is a price for that. Now, you may remember me saying, and I've said it many times, remember I've said, you are where your attention is. Hey there, I want to segue from the episode for just one moment, and I have a question for you. You're listening for a reason, and I would assume you're listening to the podcast because you want to transform your life and create a better experience of life. You want a whole lot more. Question for you is this. Do you want to transform your life slowly, or do you want to transform your life quickly and in ways you haven't even imagined because you can't see those ways because of your blind spots? If you want to transform your life slowly, then keep listening to the podcast because I get emails every day about how much this podcast helps people. If you want to transform your life dramatically and in the next couple of months and transform your life in ways you hadn't even thought possible, watch the video here from Susan, a student of mine. She'll tell you all the reasons why you want to get enrolled in my transformational coaching program. And then after the video and after the episode, if you're someone that would like to create dramatic results in your life in the next 90 days, go to jimfortin.com/TCP, jimfortin.com/TCP. There is another video there on the page that will walk you through what we offer you in the transformational coaching program. Okay, so watch her quick video. And if you're the kind of person that wants to dramatically change your life with my coaching in the next 90 days, again, go to jimfortin.com/TCP. Enjoy the video, and then I'll catch you back over on the episode. Bye-bye.
Hi, Jim Fortin podcast fans. It's me, Susan, and I wanted to talk to you guys just for a few minutes about joining TCP because much like yourself, I listened to the podcast for a really long time, and I kept thinking, I don't think I need the paid programs. I mean, why would I when this stuff is free? It's so completely different. It is literally life-changing. And you may hear that in the ads, but I'm not getting paid to tell you this. I just want to help you guys save some time. TCP has changed my marriage. It has changed my mental health. It has changed my relationship with my mother and my kids. It has changed my relationship with myself and my confidence, my peace of mind. It's amazing. Now, you may say, well, I don't know that I have time for TCP. You will make the time once you dive in and see what it is. Instead of watching Netflix for an hour or two, during the week, I would just go upstairs and be quiet and I would do my homework. The live coaching calls are amazing, and you may say, well, but it's not always Jim coaching. His coaches that he's hired are incredible. They give such wonderful, some of the best advice and aha moments I had were on the coaching calls with his team of coaches. They are incredible. When you listen and other people talk through their problems, you relate immediately, like, oh my gosh, okay, that's what I wanted to talk about. It happens quite often. So if you're worried about the money, stop, don't worry about the money. If you're worried about the time commitment, it's worth it. It's worth it to give up some of the silly things that you do, like relaxing and watching TV, to change your life. So I highly, highly, highly encourage you guys to do it because it makes a world of difference.
So where you are is, and what you're doing is you're creating with your intention. And what you're creating is something that you're paying a price for. Now, I don't know what that is, but wherever your attention is, you're paying a price for whatever it is and wherever your attention is. So an example would be if you're wanting to, and I'll dig into this further, if you're wanting to grow your business or grow spiritually or whatever it might be for you, and you're focused on growing your business. Most people don't think of it this way. And I'll talk about it some more, of course. You're paying the price with keeping your energy on the object of your desire. Because as you well know, you can have your attention anywhere. You can literally say, I don't really want to do it today. I'm going to go watch Netflix, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to go to Disneyland, or whatever it might be for you. But when your attention is on something, you are paying a price, and you are paying a price with the value of your attention. Think about that. So I asked you when we started, are you willing to pay the price to have your dream life? And I said to you that most of you would probably say, yes, Jim, I want my dream life. But you won't pay the price, and you haven't paid the price for it. Ouch. That can hurt. Because many times we don't want to look in the mirror. And, I'm going to go off topic or a different subject here for just a second, but I was talking to my brother-in-law, Don Javier, one time. And about 3 years ago, and he said, the reason we don't have what we want in life is that we have our life structured in a particular way, and we refuse to change those structures. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, and he was talking about his wife. And he was saying, basically, I said, you know what? She's very structured in her thinking. She has very fundamental processes in her thinking. And I don't mean religious, but just fundamental frames in her thinking, fundamental constructs. And he's like, boy, you got that right. Because he's lived with it for 20 years, and it's very challenging to his relationship, at least for him. So the price that he's paying to be in the relationship is to be with a partner that has some very fundamental, very black and white, very strict thinking. But what I'm looking at, what is the price that his wife is paying? What is she giving up in life? Because she's paying the price for holding on to those things, which is a negative price. But here's the kicker. Here's the big thing in this episode that I want to dig into. She won't pay the price for working through, over, around, and beyond the structures and the limitation. So the question for you is, will you pay the price for the life of your dreams? And then are you willing to pay the price with whatever it takes? Now, I'm not talking physical money here. I'm not talking physical activity per se. I mean, if you want to build a birdhouse, that's physical activity. But what I'm talking about in this episode is the mental price and the price by investing your energy in something. Now, why won't people pay the price? As I started thinking about this episode, I look at my own life. We're no different. I don't care who you are or where you are. We're no different wherever you are in the world. And I look at my own life, and I'm no different. I grew up on the planet just like you. So I'm subject to many of the limitations that I've learned on the planet. Fortunately, I've had a shaman guide me over the years and help me leave a lot of things. And working with a shaman, truthfully, can be a real shaman, can be extremely, extremely challenging. But you know what? And I have literally been to hell and back working with a shaman. Ways that if I explained in this episode, you wouldn't even believe me. Something I'll tell you. I told students of mine, there's a movie that I saw in the 80s called The Serpent and the Rainbow. And when I watched the movie in the 1980s, it said this is based upon a true story. And I watched the movie and I couldn't even get my mind around I remembered the movie. Okay, let me go back here. Let me think. So I watched it in the 80s, but I had I understood what I was watching analytically, and I thought, okay, that's an interesting movie. But after working with a shaman, this is what I want to share with you. And if you watch that movie, you'll understand when I say paying the price to work with a shaman. In that movie, this guy is functioning in alternate and non-ordinary realities. And they're very, very, for lack of better words, bad ones that he got pulled into. Now, he wasn't the bad guy, the character in the movie, but he was being attacked by the energies that were very dark. And in the movie, I saw it in the movie and I'm like, okay, true story. Okay, I don't get it, but I get it. I mean, I can understand it. That happened to me in Peru with my brother-in-law, Don Javier, on a sacred journey. And I was attacked by diableros. Diableros are black shamans. That was excruciating. It was excruciating for me. I know no other words than bone-chilling, excruciating. And I've been on this path like 4 years prior to that, and 24 years after that, I paid the price. And I'm willing to pay the price. But the question is, will you pay the price? And not the price that I paid, but will you pay the price in your life to create what you want, the life of your dreams? So why won't people pay the price? One is fear. They won't transcend their fear to pay the price. They won't pay the price of their time, their attention, their will, and their energy, and their courage to transcend the fear. So they hang on to the fear, and then they say, but I want X, Y, Z in life. And then I say, well, will you pay the price? And they will say, no, I'm not going to pay. I'm not going to go through that fear. I'm not going to go through that uncertainty. I'm not going to go through letting go of what I think is security. I'm not going to let go of my job. Are you kidding? I'm not going to put myself out for ridicule. I'm not going to put myself out of my comfort zones. No way, no how will I do that. Well, what they've just said is they won't pay the price out of one side of their mouth, but out of the other side, they've said, yes, Jim, I will pay the price. So one is fear and comfort and the illusion of security and the illusion of certainty. Now, another reason that people won't pay the price, and this is a huge one, is because it's inconvenient to pay the price. Think about that. It's inconvenient to pay the price. Now, let me give you two examples of that. I'll give you a male and a female that I've known for a lot of years. The woman's name is Molly. And Molly, when I met her, made about $40,000 per year. And I met her at a transformational event. We became friends. And I met her at an event that she didn't have the money to go to. She actually was an assistant of the person putting on the event. Very small private event, only 8 people. And it was $8,000 just for the base fee for 2.5 days. And I met Molly there, but she was working for the person putting on the event. Now, one of the other coaches there started running her own coaching programs as well, and they were transformational coaching programs. And they were, I believe, $4,000. And I registered in that program because I wanted to be coached by that person. And Molly was in the program. And I knew Molly very well by this point. And I said, Molly, you were just complaining 2 weeks ago about how broke you are and you have no money and you're not paid enough, etc. And I had the rapport with her. I could ask this. I said, how did you afford this event? And she said to me, Jim, I wanted to be here. I got a second job. And I worked a second job, and I've been working a second job and will for the next 2 months to be able to afford to be here. Molly paid the price It was extremely inconvenient. Do you think it's convenient to work 2 jobs? It was extremely inconvenient for her, but she wanted it and she paid the price. Let me give you the example of my friend Carlos. He grew up in Brazil. His dad was a butcher, and we used to joke and call him the son of a butcher. And Carlos lived in Boston many years ago, about 25 years ago. He lived in Boston, and he wanted to attend some real estate seminars in New York City. Carlos told me that he would literally on Thursday or Wednesday night, he said, on Wednesday night, he worked a construction job. He would leave his work on Wednesday night, go to the bus station, take a few-hour bus ride to New York City. He would be there in the evening time before the training, the seminar, all that kind of stuff started. He would spend 3 hours there. Then he would get back on a bus and then ride another few hours back to Boston. He'd be at home at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's 1 day a week. And he would get 2.5 hours sleep. He'd wake up and be at work again at 6 a.m. in the morning. That is paying the price. Carlos wanted to learn about real estate. Today, Carlos is worth $500 million. Carlos paid the price. But see, he didn't pay it with money per se. He paid it with his energy. He paid it with his consciousness. He paid it with his desire. He paid the price with his attention. He paid the price with his vision. He paid the price with his commitment. We want, in the world, most of us want money, and we want love, and we want healing, and we want companionship, and we want safety. But we won't pay the price for it. Why? Because it scares the crap out of us, or it's not, and that's the bigger one, it's not convenient for me to get on the bus 3 hours each way. It's not convenient for me to get a second job. I see this all the time in the Transformational Coaching Program, TCP. We've literally had over the years, I know for a fact, literally over, at this point, we're probably at 300,000 people. I know minimum 250,000 people have registered for pre-training that we've done for free prior to offering the Transformational Coaching Program. And we'll have tens of thousands of people show up. And I can't tell you the amount of people that will say, Jim, I need to be in this program. I want to be in your 13-week live program. It's not all that expensive, and I do that for a reason. I've had many people say that I could literally double and triple the investment, and I would still be offering a fair product, a fair service for fair value. But I have the investment point where I do, because I want anyone that wants to make a dramatic difference in their life and the world to be able to register and be on payments and be able to afford it. But I hear time and time and time again, I don't have the money. Well, fucking do something in your life to create the money if you're serious about transforming your life. Otherwise, nothing is going to change. But see, what I'm just saying right there emphatically, that applies to me as well. Because there have been many times in my life, and I've even thought about this a lot before recording this. I'm like, how come so many people won't pay the price, but for me it comes very easily? I will do it. I'm not any better than anyone else. How come? And it's always baffled me why people want to create things and they won't endure. They won't invite the inconvenience, but they'll complain about how bad their life is, but they won't pay the price, but they desperately want a better life, but they won't pay the price. And then they get upset at the world and the economy and Biden and Trump and Putin and inflation, but they won't pay the price. And the best that I can figure out is I grew up a small town Texas farm boy. If you've listened for any amount of time, you know that. I grew up working my ass off. I mean, I was literally in high school, feeding cattle from the time I was a freshman all the way through high school. I was feeding cattle at 5 o'clock in the morning, come rain or shine, running around in irrigation boots outside, feeding the cattle, shoveling shit. Literally, I mean, literally like a farm you would see on TV. That's what I grew up on. And I was working my ass off when I was 14 years old. As a matter of fact, I worked so hard, I even got a hardship license because I had to be able to drive to go feed the cattle, which is only about a mile away where the barn was, where we kept more cattle. But I learned to pay the price. And I learned what many of us have learned: if you want something bad enough, you'll make it happen. But see, that's not where I'm going in this episode. That's all 3D. I'm not talking about price for the money or that, things like money or busting your ass. I'm not talking about that kind of price. I'm talking about the price of where you hold your energy. Where you hold your energy is where your attention is. And if your attention and intention are on creating a much better experience of life, and then you pay the price of doing it consistently through consciousness, you will attract and you will create that life that you want. You know, I get a kick out of people in the transformational coaching program in a very jovial way, because I coach people for 13 weeks. And when I start teaching people how to reprogram their subconscious mind, some people will say, "Jim, this isn't working for me." And I'll be like, "Well, how much have you done of this?" Because people enroll at different points, different times in the program, and everybody's on a different week. And I'll say, "Well, what have you done?" And people will say, "Well, I did it for 3 days." And I'm like, that's not enough to retrain the brain. The brain can start learning. Actually, research demonstrates that we have to do something 10 times in a row for part of the brain to finally say, "Oh, okay, now I know what you want me to do. Now I know how you want me to process and how you want me to think." So 3 times ain't gonna do it. Literally, there are times that I've worked on things myself, that I've worked on it mentally. And I don't mean forcing it. We can't force life. But I've worked on things gently keeping it in my consciousness for months at a time until it came, or something came in its place that was even better. But I've recognized over the years, I must pay the price. Even when I had a stroke and heart failure in 2020, I'm perfectly well. A lot of people aren't. And I had to pay the price. See, I had to pay the price to get my ass up off the couch to go walk every day when I didn't want to walk. I didn't feel like walking. I didn't want to pay the price. But I had to pay the price where a lot of other people won't pay the price, because I knew that what I'm doing right now is my mission, and I had to heal myself to continue my mission, to continue my dharma. I had to pay the price. So let's talk about this in terms of spirituality. How do you pay the price with your spirituality? Now, I'm going to ask you a question here, very simple one, a couple. What do you give spirit? And you can call spirit whatever you want. Divine mind, the quantum field, the quantum force, consciousness, which is the phrase used in physics. What do you call spirit? Any word that you can even call it, and I am totally cool with that. You can even call it God. What do you call spirit? Now, what do you give spirit, consciousness, God, in terms of devotion? You look at the world around you, and many people don't call, actually, they work from dogma, they work from a religious God. But even that, many times even spiritualists, they don't call on divine mind, on God, on consciousness, unless they need something. And consciousness doesn't test you. It doesn't give you what you want. consciousness reflects you. Think about that. Consciousness reflects you. And what you are is what you are, but what you are is where you hold your attention. So basically, where you hold your attention is what you are. So if you are being angry in terms of your behavior, you are being angry in terms of your thinking, you are being angry in terms of your consciousness, you are therefore in that moment an angry person. Notice that for a moment. The universe just reflects right back to you what you are, and what you are is your attention. Don Javier, my brother-in-law, the shaman, and I say that many times, and people are like, why does he keep saying that? Because we add new listeners each and every week. It's not the Don Javier on YouTube. My brother-in-law has no public profile of any type, any kind. And he often says to me, because I've watched him do it for 28 years that I've worked with him, he is sublimely and supremely devoted to spiritual evolution and to spiritual service. You know, he called me on Monday and he said, hey, this being has been coming to me. I'm leaving some things out here, but he goes, this being has been coming and you need some things for brain health, meaning me. He called me, he goes, you need some things for your brain health. He goes, here are the things that you need to get. Here are the supplements. Everything from folic acid to different things that affect brain health. And he gave that to me a couple of days ago. And earlier tonight, I texted him and I'm like, hey, I forgot to ask you, what beings brought this to you and what beings do I make an offering to? Because see, something was given to me and that being extended their energy to bring it to me. They gave me something and I've already bought all these supplements. I have 6 supplements I've got to take on a daily basis and something was given and I need to show respect and service and devotion back to spirit and divine mind that served me. Is it convenient to take, which I already take a lot of things, is it convenient to take 6 additional supplements a day? No. But you know what? My objective is to be in the best possible health that I can be in, and I will pay the price. Not with the price of the supplements. They were probably $150 in total. No big deal, big whoop. I can pay that price easily. But I paid the price in terms of my honor and my respect and my reverence and my devotion to spiritual guidance and divine mind. So that's what I mean about paying the price. You know, there's a phrase that I love. I don't know where I heard it. Maybe I made it up in my own head. I don't know. But divine mind, infinite intelligence, does nothing for you. People often erroneously say, hey, spirit's got your back. That's not true at all. Spirit has your back if you have your back. Whatever you have for you in terms of your consciousness, spirit is going to reflect. So where I'm going here is that infinite intelligence does nothing, air quote, for you. Infinite intelligence works through you. And that's something that you have to understand, is that infinite intelligence works through you. Now, working through you means it's almost like a postal carrier that comes and checks the mailbox to see if there's any mail there. Well, consciousness metaphorically comes to your physical body, your physical presence, your consciousness, so to speak, like the postman, post person coming, checking the mailbox. And whatever's in the mailbox, the post person will pick up and take. The same thing with divine mind. Whatever's in the postal box is what divine mind will take and return to you. So where we're going here, I think you have it, and I might have even mangled this episode a little bit. As I'm thinking through these concepts, sometimes they're more challenging than others to break down to simplicity. And my objective is to always break these down so they're very consumable, very easy to understand. But here's the thing. Will you pay the price for the life of your dreams? Now, what price must you pay? That's all I want you to do in this episode. What price must you pay in terms of your consciousness? Now, that means in terms of your attention, meaning where will you keep your attention? Because where you have your attention is you doing the work, but many times not in a positive way, in a negative way. So the question is, will you pay the price for the life of your dreams? Will you pay the price to sit down and just think through it? Will you pay the price? This is what I want to kind of start leaving you with here as I start winding down. You have to give to get. I did an episode on that. The Beatles song, What You Give is What You Get. I don't think that's the title of the song, but that's the last line of the song. What you give is what you get. And if you're not giving any energy, you're not going to get any energy. So let's say you walked up to a fireplace and you said, hey, fireplace, give me fire. I'm cold in here. Hurry up. Give me fire. The fireplace is going to say, okay, I'll give you fire. First, give me wood. Give me wood first, and I'll give you fire. I'll give you fire. So the question for you is, you must first give to mind. And you give mind the object of your thoughts. You must first give to your mind. You give your mind the object of your thoughts, and the object of your thoughts is where your attention is. Therefore, you must pay the price of holding your attention or becoming the being and the person who has the attention to create the results that you want in life. Ponder that. And that's your transformational takeaway. You must first give to your mind. And you give to your mind based upon thinking and what you think. Because that is you thinking, and we tend to think it's just thinking, but yet you're projecting out into consciousness, which is divine universal mind. So when you think first of what it is that you want to create, your ideal life, now you're giving first and you're giving to mind, and then mind can bring that back to you, but you must do the work as long as it takes to keep your attention on mind and giving to mind and paying the price to mind. Because again, the universe doesn't work, it doesn't bring things to you, it works through you. And when you have your mind on certain things, now you're giving to the universe, and the universe is reciprocating and giving back to you the object of that which is on your mind. Thanks for listening. Do what you can to make it a great day today. And I want to say that I appreciate you listening to the podcast. We have new listeners each and every day. We have millions upon millions of downloads, and we're growing. And I want to say thank you for the honor. And also in the last episode, I asked you guys to, if you resonated with the last episode, I asked you to just simply send my team an email, support@jimfortin.com, and say you can relate. I don't check our inbox, my team does. And today they said, Jim, what did you say on your podcast last week? That last sentence, because the inbox has been blowing up today. So I want to tell you, I'm blessed, I'm honored. Thank you for allowing me to serve, and thank you for, giving a little reciprocity back. Thank you again. Okay, stay well, and I'll catch you over on another episode. Bye-bye.